So hello everyone, welcome to Lorenzo Data Solutions. My name is Anipe Abraham, SAP SuccessFactors Consultant and Corporate Trainer. So today I would like to explain about the latest release updates for SAP SuccessFactors Time Tracking for H2 2023 release. There are a few things I have already posted on my personal site, so you can refer to it. Now I would like to explain about those functionalities may help you whoever is going through this video. And so you know that release schedule time. So I don't need to repeat the same because you have been going through it. I would like to first start with the one new enhancement, that is automatic timesheet submission for overtime recorders. See, SAP added this enhancement, the possibility to automatically submit the timesheet overtime recording when a certain criteria is fulfilled. Currently, when someone is recording, let us say overtime recording, manually you need to submit on the timesheet UI. Sometimes even an employee also may forget to submit their times because you're doing like a time tracking, swipe in, swipe out, something like that. But now when you forget, also no problem. But now when the criteria is fulfilled, automatically overtime recording is submitted. You don't need to do anything manually. How? There are certain criteria should be specified. The first thing is, you should create a rule. Timesheet, let us say, with imported entities. There is a rule, submit timesheet with the imported entities. For example, you can see the submission criteria as a base object. And you can see if submission criteria dot has imported entities is equal to yes. So this is the first rule that is supposed to be met, criteria. The second thing is, there is in managed data, one generic object is there. That is time recording submission configuration. When you configure time recording submission configuration, remember the time recording method should be overtime. When you configure this time recording submission configuration with a time recording method as a overtime, in this particular object, you can see there is a field called submission rule. Can you see it? So the rule what is created should be assigned in the time recording submission configuration with a time recording method as a overtime with the submission rule what is created above. After configuring this, in the time recording submission configuration, the rule is already assigned with a time recording method as a overtime. This object, which is a time recording submission configuration you have done for the overtime, will be assigned in the time recording profile. In the time recording profile, again you are going to select as a time recording method as a overtime. It should be overtime. And this time recording overtime submission configuration should be selected in the time recording submission configuration. You can see here. When this criteria is met, manually, you don't need to record your overtime. All the imported entries will be automatically submitted for the overtime recording in your time tracking. This is one of the new enhancement. Before it was manually done, but now from this release, it is going to be automatically updated. So in the current version, you can set up the time sheet submission rule based on criteria you have set up now, like a time recording submission configuration, and which is going to assign to the time recording profile And then when this criteria is met, overtime recordings are going to be automatically recorded. This is one of the enhancement you can see in the latest timesheet, time tracking functionality. Next, another functionality that I wanted to explain is about on the timesheet UI, you have one thing called information button. But if you want to see that information button on the timesheet UI, on the time recording profile, you have a one field called instructional text for a timesheet. So you can provide some instructions. Those instructions as on the UI as an output, you will find the button here as information. Why this information button is required for you? You know, it helps you maybe like some information, it provides some details, some information about for example, there are different time types for different purposes, for different requirements. Some information can be provided so that based on that instructions, it helps the users to the time types on the time of UI and the timesheet UI. These can be used as a help, you know, like a overtime recording, negative time recording, or a positive time recording. So it helps the instructions for the users on the timesheet UI without consulting anyone or without anyone's interference if you need some kind of guidance. Next, we have something called a minimum break duration. Now you can specify how long manually the recorded breaks must be considered as a breaks during a dynamic break generation. For example, you can specify to the system that it should generate minimum 30 minutes break. For example, if employee is going to work 8 hours shift without recording a break, but however, if employee recorded 30 minutes break time as a manually, the system doesn't generate a break because that criteria should be met. That's exactly the dynamic break means. For example, if you don't set up minimum break duration, and employees can avoid dynamic break generation maybe by recording a 6 or 5 minutes break. However, there are some countries, there are some regions, as for the legal regulations, how long break must be. You know, like for example, 15 minutes break, 30 minutes break. So this minimum break duration is, as for government regulations, this functionality has been introduced. But dynamic break means when that criteria is met, only you can take that 30 minutes break. But still, as for the government regulations, minimum break duration has been field introduced in the dynamic break configuration. But in the previous dynamic break configurations, you don't see that minimum break duration configuration field. You can see this feature is introduced as for due to some countries and some regions government regulations. This is one latest update you will see in the time tracking functionalities. Now, one more thing that I wanted to explain is about rest rules. This is also very important functionality. Rest rule is something like you are taking a sufficient time sufficient rest between the like from one shift to the next shift. Let us say, for example, today you worked from today's shift to tomorrow's shift. You should have some gap, at least 11 hours. A gap should be there. So you have to make sure that employees taking a rest at least 11 hours between shifts. So you can set up the rest rules to define minimum rest period is 11 hours. Let us say employee is going to clock in 10 p.m. the previous day. The clock's out 6 o'clock in the next day. The employee clocks back again 2 p.m. On the same day, they clocked out. The result is the rest period of less than 8 hours, that is the rest period violation. Therefore, the system creates an alert that notifies the rest period violation. To support this scenario, SAP added a new valuation type called create a time record additionally. Minimum rest or minimum rest periods are a legal requirement in many countries, many regions. So remember, this is very important, and you can see that your start time 10 p.m. and end time 6 a.m. in the next day. So now again, you are going to clock in the same day 2 p.m. that there, it's not like you're not meeting the criteria of 11 hours of rest period. Then system will notify a message that the same employee clocks in 2 p.m. So it's a violation, like as per some country legal regulations. So the required the rest period is 11 hours. That is a notification the system is going to send. That's one of the enhancement you will see in the latest H2 2023 release. Next one is time containers. So this is something like before we SAP introduced these time containers, time valuation results are used, by payroll, that were persisted. But there are some cases the time valuation results are not used by payroll. For example, whenever there is some rest rule violations in the timesheet period, you need to persist the start and times of a shifts within the period to calculate the rest times between those two shifts. So when you want that, so you need the time container types field available at them automatically. You can see yes or no. So this is something relates to your, the time containers field is available automatically in the time type group configuration. So you need to configure the time valuation that provides input data to the time container for your rest rule configurations. Okay, you can see the time container and you can see the rest rule, and it is going to calculate. And so this provides you or start time and time for the reporting purposes. So SAP introduced the time containers because they're required for the rest rules, because we want to support certain reporting use cases for your rest rule scenarios. So these are the few of the details. I just wanted to provide some detailed overview explanation, and I hope it is useful for everyone who is going through this short video. Thank you so much for going through this short video, and see you all again next time with a new topic. Thank you so much. Bye everyone.